Fast forward, any come on our channel social form say I'll see G8 political avenue. Political stories are training me with making headlines. And your gym need to be exomo. Any of them Raximu, any day Kanya. Best is to be subscribe to the channel, hit notification bell, share now for friends so insight into me and can be a mommy. Yamin sure when your cases away inside the mommy. Imo rain simu. Suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkonoo and Amanoka say, Nana ya Jantua etimi amiki revelation bia onu ano shipa enya asem kutwa na ensema okanyina ne se abusua o se Nana Addo dankwa Akuffo Addo file petition e Akroma His Excellency John Dramani Mahama se maame no beya yenyini free hokra ka kumye ne kwakwo no mesre se bebowura maame na so ye na yeti ye maame na nkasa nso eka abra okopiem ewo eye Aksempa FM. Shano so am say we can subscribe to the channel amame. That's so yen sir.
Say the process will go on. If there's a petition against her, the petition didn't, and I mean, who be bought papers, and Nana was also going to start the process even to remove her. This one, this my essence. It was in the papers.
Hey,
I mean, who?
And then the whole kind of
one of these newspapers. It was in Aminka. Was it when Nana had a petition?
Of course, it
is in the papers. It said Nana was going to start the process.
Was going to.
I am telling you, I saw it in the papers. Me chantro. So and then in Sakai, Limum said, I thought that I can say, oh no, been a casa or trouble. A lucky merit. You get me? But I saw in the papers. Me chantro. Me, I don't lie.
I did like him. I
mean, chantro could see baby. I make me who name one. But the point is, I don't know why I'm whole premise. Most of the judiciary is independent. Yeah, the petition about Chief Justice where you call court where you call see Addo MPP Niama. Chief Justice who are MPP ni. No, because court. There will be court. Preventing the process to go on. I am saying that Charlotte obi court to say money process no go on. Charlotte the process no go be an kwan country. It was the process no go on. Why are people going to court to prevent the process from going on? I don't MPP ni. O ma me hu mo court o mo defending MPP for lawyers nko a. Ma me no so MPP ni, o ye neutral. So why are MPP lawyers defending her? Charlotte say obi an ko ka hwe. Otnasi ko process no. My de ne famu. Ye what justice there no fact. Justice there as nasi.
Say ye be na free o say ye jana na chana ho.
So no dey ye go through process. Anti process ni do ade be si na asi obi nim the process ni de beba ade Charlotte say no e bema Charlotte say no e bema
you say also you are mad advocate.
I am say me your bad advocate but say Charlotte say no nye bema inti ni say be process ni ba ye nyira ya
ko Charlotte say ye Chief Justice
that's
fine
dem enye no na make
na wo kan
dem wo say oyo ba and am say obi ago to process
oyo ba na yi Charlotte say dey ye
dem na ka say
Chief Justice
so ko dey say na kan. The Charlotte says, "Oh, your bad, maybe your bad other women. Need to go through process and the process. Then you're okay. No problem. Maybe go through process. Then be fine. Into will be able to go through process. There's nothing wrong.
Then I will say to Charlotte say, "I'm going through the process.
That's also go through
the
process.
No fair.
Hey, the fair ni fair ni. Only the deputies in your back, crampo, I want no dear Muntia Neka, untimi to a draw, untimi Shimujan, and I'm missing her bamo, or mine, what's a moon yam. For me, they did bear 2 legs, good 4 legs, but a ball baby, I'm money and a namodia. Sao or banny, they should be protected, more court, more quaha, about baffle fraud, I wanted the Hunin Faso. About baffle fraud, and Hunin Faso. Now they're not then. With Mamma Macram, the year woman, with 3 more ding, very wicked people. You want some amount more.
That's when I'm catching a gun for no. Mumbai, who are wicked. Why you program could be beat waiting here or quite mum to go for Bunu run a year phone.
Why will be your phone? Why will be a money monk for near Mamma? Don't even go there. More chrono amabo.
Justice to go or not to go.
To go where? There be no process in the BFM. Me pa show process in the whole
that's back on you have never process.
Process one madam.
You have never process.
I am saying the same process will go on. I don't see why we should. I don't think I'm on home premi. Charlotte say kwakọtena ho din ansa ne questions nyina no wie ye na okọtena ne baby. Enti we so kwakọtena ti din no ansa ne questions nyina ye wie be hu baby e besi. We enya dey so bia ye hu. I don't think we should even talk about it. Me maka say the process will go on. If there is a petition against the petition didn't and I mean who be bo paper say na
Ejabin had this to say. Can I read it?
Yes, you can.
That's the Ghana Bar Association versus Attorney General and another 1995-1996 One Ghana Law Report at page 598 quotes. It is clear from the above that under our Constitution 1992, a Chief Justice or a Justice of the Superior Court or Chair of the Regional Tribunal can only be removed from the office by the President acting on the recommendation of the committee appointed by the President or the Chief Justice, as the case may be, to inquire into a petition sent to the President alleging some misbehavior or incompetence against the one concerned. It proceeds. It is important to note that Article 1468 of the Constitution 1992 provides that the proceedings of the committee appointed to deal with such petition shall be held in camera. It is mandatory. Said that proceedings held in camera, not in public or open court, as unfortunately been done in this case. So you know what the Ghana Bar Association did? Instead of triggering Article 146, they rather issued a writ to achieve the same aim. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason for this important provision is obvious. It's to preserve, protect, safeguard the authority, dignity, and independence of the judiciary. It will be a sad day for this country if the court were to grant the request of the Plaintiff Association and start removing our judges in open court, contrary to the provisions made in the Constitution for that purpose. It is in the light of these observations that I consider this action of the Plaintiff Association, I mean the GBA, who should be expected to know better. Listen carefully.
Mm-hmm.
That an association, the creme de la creme, lawyers association, should know better. Most unfortunate, as is likely to undermine the judiciary in particular and the rule of law in general. The reason why I decided to go back to 1994 is to underscore what the judiciary, the Ghana Bar Association and its intervention over the period has been.
Mm-hmm.
I am not surprised at all. Look, when President Mahama decided to appoint two justices of the Supreme Court, His Lordship Justice Puaman and Justice Ľěaƙ, again, the Ghana Bar Association took President Mahama to court. The association was almost quiet until the later end of President Akuffo when they started speaking. Why so? With respect, what is it relative to these impeachment proceedings against a leadership, the Chief Justice? That is untoward. That is a bad precedent. That has not been put out. Has any provision of the 1992 Constitution been undermined? No. I am looking forward. And look, thankfully, my good brother, the Supreme Court, even in this matter, has had the opportunity to intervene, either by describing an act unconstitutional or not, either to injunct a process or not. The Supreme Court has effectively agreed. Now, how come that an association of lawyers, with respect, appears to take a view? And when you say a bad precedent, I've been struggling, I've been struggling to understand what exactly is it that is bad. Because first of all, I am not the maker of the 1992 Constitution. I do not think the president of the Ghana Bar Association President Mrs. Efwagati is one of the framers of the Constitution. I do not know. But in the wisdom of the framers of the 1992 Constitution, they actually saw into time that there will be a day that a Chief Justice may be alleged to have misconducted herself and which will require a hearing. Are we, for any reason, saying that those provisions in the Constitution are bad? Is that the suggestion? Because if those provisions are in the Constitution and are being used, where is the bad precedent? With respect, once again, President Efwagati appreciate greatly that the position of the justices of the Superior Court and their removal processes by way of security of tenure applies with all necessary modifications to independent constitutional bodies. So when President Mahama, having received a petition from Rachel Nyama, Frank Anodon Prez, led by way of counsel, Mr. Samson Ladi Ayenedi, for the removal of Mrs. Vivian Lamptey, Loretta Lamptey, the Sǎčǩ board, an appointee of the NDC. Was it a bad precedent? Because it's the same Article 146 that was used. And I remember when President Mahama received the petition, right, from Rachel Nyama, what President Mahama did was to give it to her ladyship Georgina Wood, then Chief Justice, to make the prima facie determination. After she made the prima facie determination, her ladyship, Georgina Wood, then set up the Eniegwa committee. It was my Lord Justice Eniegwa, Justice Anthony Brennan, and her ladyship Mariama Owusu, to make an inquiry into the specific allegations against Loretta Vivian Lamptey. Eventually, the committee recommended her removal. Prior to the removal, in a release by the then Chief of Staff, Prosper Barney, in 2015, President Mahama suspended Loretta Lamptey. Suspended her. How different is that from what has happened today, 10 years after? Was it a bad precedent? As recent as I think 10 years ago, we saw President Addo Akuffo apply the same provisions of Article 146 in the removal of Madame or Mrs. Charlotte Osei, in the removal of Mrs. Amankwa and the late Amadou Sule. Was it a bad precedent? I mean, where from this sudden claim that a full compliance with the constitutional provision constitutes a bad precedent? When President Addo Akuffo removed the head of an independent constitutional body like the Electoral Commission, the bar never issued a statement. Please, unless of course the bar intervened and I'm not aware. If you know, please give me the benefit of knowing how the bar intervened when Madame Charlotte Osei was removed. I want to know. In fact, I recall vividly, and I'll say this. After the removal, Mr. Kukubaku, the respected journalist in this country, went to the Supreme Court to say that the removal of Charlotte Osei on mere grounds of procurement breaches without no further evidence, either she has stolen public funds or not, the Supreme Court refused to entertain that process. In fact, the lawyer for Kukubaku was my senior, Samson Ladi Ayenedi. The Supreme Court resisted a writ action to challenge the removal of Madame Charlotte Osei Was it a bad precedent? You see, the accounts are the same. Yes, so all way of one side. So all way of one side. No, I share one side. You know of war.
Mm-hmm.
You know of war.
That's
the monkey.
Monkey. It's a monkey. Exactly. But that call, this call for the reconsideration of the suspension. If you listen to your president, your bar president, says that in the spirit of reconciliation, they're hoping, and he says we, essentially representing the position that you, the members of the Bar Association, have taken, that the various calls for the reconsideration of the Chief Justice suspension will not be ignored, especially given the poor precedents that is set.
You see, when President Mahama...
That's what he said.
No, when President Mahama suspended Loretta Lamte, he gave a policy reason. And in fact, it was at the invitation of the petitioner. You know what they claim was? That as the head of Sǎčǩ, the reason for the petition was or had to do with payments and others, because she was supposed to go to a short residence, she didn't, she was in a hotel, all kinds of things. And they said, look, if she stood there, listen carefully, the possibility of evidence suppression, among other things, will be profound. Huge possibility. So President Mahama suspended Loretta Lamte. Was it a bad precedent? But you see, let me tell you something today. In the removal process of a ladyship, Torkonoo, do you know that judicial service staffs are testifying before the proceedings?
Judicial service staff are testifying.
Yes.
Before the committee.
The committee, yes.
I see.
Imagine testifying against your boss. Can you, for want of a better example, the general manager of Media General.
No, you can use another example. No, I mean, just. I mean, let's use a different setting. But I get the point.
Let me use another example. So in this specific case, where judicial service staffs are witnesses, and imagine the CJ still being in office. Can you even have the courage, my brother, in even going there? That would even lead to suppression of evidence.
I see.
So in good conscience, the suspension, and like President Mahama acted previously, guess what? In the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution, unless of course we say we are wiser than them. Do you know something?
Mm-hmm.
If you look, the 1968 Constitution, 79 Constitution, didn't even have these provisions. For instance, the in-camera hearing, they were never in those provisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was for good reason why in the 1992 Constitution, having reflected on our past history, decided to have these two provisions, the in-camera hearing, the suspension provisions. We cannot for a minute, and I do not think that the Ghana Bar Association is suggesting even remotely that they are wiser than the people who put the Constitution together. I do not think so. And look, let me say this. There have been issues. The proceedings are happening at Addo Lodge. Why? Why is it not happening at the judicial, the court complex? Look, my brother Alfred, can you imagine a situation where the head of the judiciary will now be coming back now, for want of a better word, like somebody accused.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so these are all the reasons why the committee members came out and said, look, let's get a place so comfortable, a place so detached from the judiciary, where she can feel comfortable, appear quietly, no media razzmatazz. Have you seen that there have not been any media, things about the proceedings quietly until her press conference the last time? I want to say this, and I say this forcefully. President John Dramani Mahama, took the oath of office before her ladyship, Justice Gertrude Torkonoo, and swore an oath, which oath is swore that you do justice to all manner of persons, but more importantly, respect the laws of this country. What else can President Mahama do under the circumstance? Imagine, just for a minute, that President Mahama has taken a procedure that is not sanctioned by Constitution. Our brothers and sisters in the MPP would have used this as ground for his removal, as having breached the Constitution, particularly his oath of office. Now, a compliance with the Constitution should rather get the commendation from an association made up of lawyers. Where from this notion that this thing will create a bad precedent? What does it mean for a bad precedent? If tomorrow, look,
into we and some other team course watching on us of Mamma was so Jim Ray or Hat as any so bad in the Adumi Adumania. And you ain't shame na yan for the chasing and science.